Hello YouTube, it's me Bobcat1939 and it's Christmas, which means I'm eating lots of mince pies. But have you ever wondered which mince pie is the best? Let's find out. Let's play a game of... Quick, Santa's coming, close your eyes. But does Santa even know who's Lord of the mince pies? That's right, we're going to find out who is the Lord of the mince pies. So I've been to the shops, a load of shops, the most shops I've ever visited in one single day. And I've bought mince pies from all of those shops. We've got a tournament bracket and we're going to put all these mince pies up against one another to find out who is the Lord of the mince pies. Let's start round one. So round one, we've got Lidl's Deluxe mince pies versus Tesco's own mince pies. Now, the Lidl Deluxe come out at £1.49 for a box of 6, whereas Tesco is only 89p for a box of 6. So there's a bit of a price difference in this first round. Things to note, both of them contain 49% mincemeat. And mincemeat, just so everyone's aware, is vegetarian suitable. All the mince pies that we've got are vegetarian suitable. So there's no actual meat in the mince meat. It's just what they call it. So let's have a look, shall we? They've both got fairly average patterns. You've got a star and a snowflake on this one, and 2 stars on this one. Pretty average Christmas designs if you're looking at it. Size difference, the Deluxe comes out at about a third of the size larger than Tesco's own. But does the taste represent the size? There's a large sugar dusting on the Deluxe and it has a very strong smell. One of the strongest smelling mince pies in this competition. So let's start off with the Deluxe. So as you can see, we've got the filling, the mincemeat filling. It's a very dry pastry. Also, I'll be eating all of these mince pies cold. Some people like them hot, some people like them cold. That's up to you. I prefer mine just room temperature, as is, as it comes in the box, as they say. So, first impressions, very dry, flaky pastry. Nice, sweet filling. You can definitely taste the sweetness in that one. Let's have a drink out of my mug that has a picture of me on. Cleanse the palate before going in for the Tesco own. A lot more juice with Tesco. There's a nice blend of the pastry and the mincemeat. The pastry isn't flaking and making my mouth dry. So already I'm seeing a clear advantage for the Tesco's. Just going for a quick little bite of this one just to double check. Yeah, there is definitely a nicer taste profile to the Tesco own. So round one, Tesco own 89p for 6 is taking out Lidl's Deluxe series. So you'll go to the next round. I'm afraid it's goodbye for the Deluxe. Round 2. Here we have Lidl again, this time with their Favorina. Not sure how you say it. Cheaper brand at 75p versus Marks and Spencer's, the most expensive mince pie in today's tournament, at a massive £1.80 for a box of 6. So, design wise, both very similar. They've both got the mistletoe, the holly leaves, the little spiky leaves that you associate with Christmas. Main difference to note, Marks and Spencer's has this cute little star shape cut out in the middle, and I think that adds to the strong smell that you find with the Marks and Spencer's one. Seems to be a little bit more of an obvious sugary coating on the Favorina, but again, will that translate into the taste? We get them out of their little pouches here. This is why you do this before we start the round, but I forgot. Let's start off with Lidl again. Very sweet. You can taste the filling straight away. A bit more of a chewy filling. And the sugariness of the pastry is really hitting hard with that one. Let's go for the Marks and Spencer's next. So it's a very soft pastry with Marks and Spencer's. Like, you can feel it breaking, like in my hand if I put too much pressure on it. Not a bad thing though, because a lot easier to chew. The pastry, and the filling is very tasty in the Marks and Spencer's. Has a richness to it. Whereas there's more of a tang and a zest to the Favorina one. I'm going to have to say, on this round, Marks and Spencer's clearly is the superior mince pie, and Lidl is out of the competition in the first round. See you later, Lidl. Round 3. This round is Clash of the Supermarkets. On my left, we've got Sainsbury's Owen with a nice little Christmas tree pattern, and on my right, we've got Morrison's Owen with a snowflake pattern. Now, I'm going to disclose something here. I do have a bias in this competition. You see, the ones that I eat primarily and I buy on bulk every week are the Morrison's Owen. Now, as much as I will try not to let my bias get in the way, I do have a soft spot for the Morrison's Owen. So, just to make myself clear and be open and honest, there is a favourite for me already. But I've never had the Sainsbury's one before. So maybe the Morrison's one will be out in the first round. We have to see. Price-wise, Sainsbury's, the more expensive one, at £1 for 6. Whereas Morrison's is a whole 1p cheaper at 99p. What a bargain. But there's only one way to tell which one tastes better, and that's by sticking them in my gob. Very crunchy pastry for Sainsbury's. I'm not really tasting much of the mince. A little bit on the dry side, but the pastry is nice. Let's see how that compares to Morrison's though. Pastry, a lot easier to get past. You can taste the filling. And purely because I can taste the filling, I can tell you it's nice filling. Let me go in for a second bite of the Sainsbury's. Also a nice filling, but a lot chewier, a lot more kind of bits in there to get past. Viruses aside, Morrison's is definitely the superior supermarket than Sainsbury's. See you later, Sainsbury's. Round 4. Here we have Mr. Kipling, which comes out at £1.70 for a box of 6. And this one is lovingly baked in Britain. Whether lovingly baked translates to taste, though, is yet to be seen. On this side, we've got Aldi Holly Lane. This one is the cheapest brand that we found while shopping at 49p for a box of 6. So if you were going to have a party and you wanted everyone at the party to have mince pies, this would be the most you could get for your buck. But just because you could get a high quantity for your money, would you still be getting the same quality? Let's find out. Well, this isn't a good start from Mr. Kipling. I've gone to pick it up and the pastry's already started to break away in my hand. Let's try and get it where the pastry didn't break away. Okay, so again, we're dealing with a very filling pastry. A lot of it that dries up your mouth. And for me, that's the last thing you want with a mince pie. Is a pastry that dries up your mouth. Because if I wanted a dry mouth, I would just eat crackers. Let's see how Aldi's Holly Lane compares. As the cheapest and most basic looking, in my opinion, my initial thoughts are that this will not be the best. But there's only one real way to test that, isn't there? Again, very similar in the pastry, quite dry, but I actually got a hint of the mince in this one. And then what I believe is the closest round so far, there is an upset. The 49p Aldi brand has beaten the Mr. Kipling brand, which I'm actually not going to go in for a second bite of. We're on to the semi-finals, folks, and I'm not going to lie, I'm starting to feel full already. This will probably come back to haunt me. But let's get on with round one of the semi-finals, where we've got Tesco's Owen mince pies versus Marks and Spencer's. Now, a quick reminder of the prices that we've got here. The Tesco Owen comes in at 89p, whereas the Marks and Spencer's is the most expensive at a whole 91p more at £1.80. So Marks and Spencer's has a lot to lose compared to Tesco. But there's only one way to really test this. It didn't want to leave the plate. It knew what fate had in store for it. It didn't want to leave the plate. It tried to hold on for dear life, but it just couldn't. Let's find out how it tastes. There's a real sweetness to the pastry for Marks and Spencer's. And the mince as well. Good combination, really, for Marks and Spencer's. But will it beat Tesco, that has already taken out one higher priced brand? Can it David and Goliath the Marks and Spencer's brand? Let's find out. Maybe it's because of the size, but the first bite into the Tesco Oven, you're getting pastry and a healthy amount of mince. Whereas with some of the bigger ones, that first bite, you're mainly getting pastry. Now, again, maybe that's just personal preference. Do you prefer pastry to mince? How do you like your ratios? For me, when I take a bite of a mince pie, I like to have a good amount of mince in that bite. And so, straight away, Tesco is showing that it's got what it takes. But in terms of the quality of the mince, sweet, easy to chew. Into this one. There is such a thing as too sweet. And I'm afraid Marks and Spencer's, you just don't have the taste that I'm looking for in a mince pie. Round two of the semi-finals, and I'm still kicking. I haven't given in to the pastry or the mince just yet. So, reminder of who our contestants are in this round. We've got Morrison's, 99p. Whereas on this side, we've got Aldi Holly Lane at a whole 50p cheaper, 49p for 6. Just a reminder there for the prices. Now, Aldi's already shown it's got what it takes to take down a big hitter in Mr. Kipling. But can it do the same for a more expensive brand like Morrison's? Let's find out. A nice crumbly pastry, not overbearing. Good choice to get to the semi-final. Well, how does Morrison's compare? A reminder that I have a bias in this match, but let's see if that holds true. Let's get a side of the mince pie that I feel is a fair representation. Straight away, what I'm tasting is the mince. The juiciness of it helping to soak up the pastry, making it easier to chew. Both very good pastries, but Morrison's has the juicier filling, the mince, and so for that reason, Morrison's, you're going to the final. Aldi, good competition, but it's your turn to go. And here we are, the final, the battle of the best, to see who truly is Lord of the mince pies. We've gone from the cheapest to the most expensive to get here where we are in the final. Tesco versus Morrison's, 89p versus 99p. My personal bias to one that has surprised me. Now, I've noticed a pattern, and I'm sure you've picked up on that pattern, that the first one that I try has been the one to go out. Maybe that's a curse. Maybe that's just the luck of the draw. Maybe it has something to do with the way that I'm tasting them. I'm not sure. But to eliminate any possibility of bias, I'm going to try the Morrison's one first, just in case that is what's happening. Again, the familiarity of it all. This is, in my opinion, a mince pie. And yes, they are getting harder to eat. I'm kind of thankful that I've only got one more bite to take and I can end this competition and go and spend a couple hours in the bathroom. Cleanse the palate one last time. Now, maybe it's because I'm getting full Maybe I'm not enjoying the mince pies as much due to that. But the clear difference I noticed with these two is in the mince. Pastry, very similar. Mince, very juicy, both of them. However, the one key difference is that the mince on one of them is very sticky and sticks to your mouth. And that was Tesco. Now, the critics will argue that this whole thing was a fix and that because I do my weekly shopping at Morrison's, I'm in their pockets, or they're in my pockets. And that's not true. Look around me, folks. Do you think I'd be living in a small house like this if I was being funded by big business Morrison's? Of course not. Don't be daft. This is just the way the pastry crumbles. And Morrison's is truly Lord of the Pies. So when you do your shopping and you want to know where to get your mince pies from, Morrison's is the place. And tell them I sent you.